Listening to Unsugarcoated with Alia, bringing you interviews with public figures and inspirational people speaking on self-improvement with empowering themes. And I'm your host, Alia Lanius. Hello, and welcome back to another powerful episode of Unsugarcoated with Alia. Today we confront the harsh realities, again, of conflict and the role of individuals in standing up against injustice and everything that comes along with it. In light of the ongoing genocide and occupation in Palestine, we are reminded of Paul Robeson's poignant words from 1937. Now, I've shared them before as part of this podcast, but I feel like it's so relevant, as always, again. Every artist, every scientist, every writer must decide now where he stands. He has no alternative. There is no standing above the conflict on Olympian heights. There are no impartial observers. The battlefront is everywhere. Our discussion today will dive into the intersection of activism and art, exploring how social media platforms have become the new battlegrounds for truth and justice. We'll examine the profound psychological toll of facing daily aggression and hatred, especially for those who are part of the diaspora and yet feel an unbreakable bond to their homeland. We'll discuss the power of digital connections where borders blur and where individuals, including those from occupied territories, find themselves in intense, often hostile interactions with those on the other side. These real-time confrontations bring a unique perspective, highlighting both the potential for understanding and the depths of an entrenched animosity. Moreover, we will explore how young activists are using their platforms to amplify their voices and bring global attention to their cause. In an era where misinformation is rampant, these digital warriors play a crucial role in documenting and sharing the truth, challenging narratives, and inspiring action worldwide. This episode is a testament to the resilience and courage of those who refuse to be silent. It's a call to recognize that, as Robeson said, the battlefront is everywhere. Our goal is to humanize the struggle, underscore the importance of standing firm in the face of adversity, and illustrate that in this interconnected world, everyone has a role to play. Join us as we delve into these critical conversations and honor the unwavering spirit of resistance with our today's guest. Belal Nassar is a Palestinian-American content creator and actor dedicated to amplifying the voices of the voiceless in Gaza. With years of experience in digital storytelling, Belal leverages his platform to bring global attention to the resilience and struggles of Palestinians. His work not only entertains, but also informs and inspires action, making him a pivotal figure in the landscape of social advocacy through media. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Belal Nassar.
Hey, how you doing today? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, we're so glad. Okay, so first of all, I've seen you and several other, incredible individuals. For many, I think actually you were before 8 months ago, but definitely
Yes.
over the last 8 months, because that's one thing I can go back. I have the receipts. Like, I didn't just start on this in October. That this is
Correct.
something that's been going on for us for a long time, and obviously it's been brought to a head. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for coming into the studio today. It's such a pleasure to know you and to be able to collaborate with you. Tell us a little bit about your early life, your upbringing in America and your connection to Palestine.
Growing up here as a Palestinian Muslim, I definitely faced hostility. Even though I wasn't able to go to Palestine until 2020, it was still something very strong with me. As an artist, as an actor, as an entertainer, I always kept Palestine, whether it was through my poetry, whether it was through my acting. I always made sure to keep Palestine in the picture and be a voice for the voiceless, because that's very important out here. Alhamdulillah, growing up, I was always raised to be proud of where I was from, whether or not I was able to go back there or not, whether I've been there or not. I was always raised to be a proud Ghazawi Palestinian. Growing up in the early 2000s, I didn't really know what was going on, especially after September 11th. I had no idea. So I did face a lot of that, a lot of racism. It was a very hostile time in the early 2000s. And but even though I wasn't too educated on it, I still knew to be proud of where I was from, and I still voiced that.
We'll get into it. You have a very unique way in handling this, and we'll get there. But I love that that's kind of where you say you've just really started to see, because I've noticed that initially after October 7th, I have to say this, like a lot of people are like, well, if I speak up, I'm going to lose. And first of all, I don't care about followers. I've never, it's not even about that. But if people are not going to be part of my network or my community because of my stance on humanity, I'm not losing anything. And anything I've lost, I know will be replenished by somebody who does have an ideology that aligns with mine, right? So is that what you feel like that has happened for you?
Oh, definitely. You get to see how many people actually truly support Palestine once they see you in that spotlight, and you start to see those people fade away.
Right.
But like you said, if anything, I didn't lose anything, It'll be replaced or replenished by somebody else who does.
Absolutely. And yeah, as a form of philosophy, I never worry about what falls out of the back of the truck.
That's a good way to look at it.
You also have acting aspirations. So I do want to touch on that because, look, let's just be real. A lot of times we are not, we're not getting cast for the good roles. We're getting cast for the bad roles.
Yes.
So tell me how that acting and being Palestinian American, how's that gone for you?
I've only gotten background acting roles, and obviously, like you said, it is very hard. So in the past 3 months, I've lost 3 big roles, and which, like you said, don't worry about what falls outside in the back of the truck. I feel like this is definitely opening many doors for me in the acting world. And nowadays with social media is the new Hollywood.
Right.
So I don't worry about it. Whatever comes.
As a person who works in film outside of what we do with the podcast here, obviously, I just got back from Cannes Film Festival. I was not surprised to see Cate Blanchett do what she did. I saw it was incredible for how much they were prohibiting people. I mean, I think they were really afraid of anybody trying to make a statement. And it breaks my heart that they really want to stifle that. But I think it's incredibly important for actors and people in the Hollywood world, whether they're Jewish or not, to stand up for humanity, be in the right place on this, because
I agree.
This is not Judaism. This is an issue with Zionism.
I agree. I forgot where I got this from, but it's always stuck with me. Zionists and Jews are different type of people. The Jews aren't bad, but the Zionists are evil. So you're definitely correct. It has nothing to do with Judaism or any religion at all.
Yeah, because that's all. It's so very easy to peg it. Like they want to say you're being anti-Semitic, which on its face is ridiculous because we're also Semites. We are Semites too, and people want to. And somebody actually said, well, no, that was about Europeans during the Holocaust. Okay, they wanted to differentiate, right? The German Nazis wanted to say they're different. They're different from us. So they isolated them. They destroyed their workplaces, they arrested them, they killed them, they did everything that you see the Zionist entity doing to the Semites. So I don't understand how just because it happened in Europe that you can't actually apply the same thing. I refuse to. I'm like, no, anti-Semitism to me includes, if you're really going to be, and I am going to take somebody on semantics on this, if you're really going to say that, then actually anti-Semitic is being against people who are of Jewish faith or also people in the Arab world.
You're absolutely correct.
And we need to flip that on its backside so that they can't keep doing this to us and try to pigeonhole us in lie when it's very clear what we're fighting for, I think, to many people.
That is the goal with social media. You can't hide it. You can't lie anymore. It's right in front of your face. So that's one thing that we're trying to change.
Absolutely. So experiences on the video chat platforms. Before we start, we'll talk about the social media thing, but what you've been able to do and show the world is really incredible. I know that you and a couple others are very well known for these video chat platforms. These are very notable interactions because some are positive, some are negative.
Correct.
Well, first of all, actually, how did you end up on the video platforms first?
So growing up, we've always messed around on these platforms, but after October 7th, it became something that we wanted to hear their side, to see what they're really going to say. We already know their side, but to expose them as an actor, I thought this is the best way. I didn't expect much to come out of it, of course, but after my first interaction and just seeing how bold and blatant they were telling me their crimes and and speaking on their genocide, the things that they do to the children, I knew I had something. And I was able to put my acting skills with being a Palestinian and the passion together, and that's how it came.
Yeah.
That's how it came. The hostility is definitely there. I've heard some stuff, seen some stuff that nobody ever wants to hear or see. But as a Palestinian, it's very important for me to go ahead and do this. It is emotionally draining. It is mentally exhausting. But when you look at it, who am I to say that when my own family is dealing with it physically right there?
So we're going to play this short video, and then we'll come back to get your thoughts on it. I'd like the audience to hear it.
Hello.
Are you from United States?
Yes, sir. Kentucky, Wisconsin.
Do you love Israel or do you love Palestine?
I don't know what's going on. I see the videos. You're in the IDF? Salute Hut Jahannam. Listen, man, I see the video. The IDF fighting the Kamis or the Hamas?
No, we don't. We kill everybody. No Hamas.
Everybody.
Yes.
Even the children.
And the children.
The woman.
Children and babies. Baby, one day we kill him.
On the first day it's born.
Yes.
Why
no?
How many do you have? How many kills do you have?
1 minute. Because I don't English very good.
That is a powerful interaction. Can you walk us through what it's like when he's talking to you like that? You know, it is, of course, it's very hard, first of all, but my goal is to expose them. As hard as it is to hear those things, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So in a way, my heart is broken, but in a way, I'm achieving what I need to do. So I keep grasping it. I keep pulling at it. Yeah. And it's definitely something that I didn't expect I would be able to handle. But here we are about 8 months later. And it's just, unfortunately, it's become a norm. Humanity has a very ugly history. This is for the first time where we're really getting to talk to the guys in the tanks, sitting there. Of course, yes. I mean, watching them make their videos while they blow up universities, and my family in Lebanon. I've talked about this, where my cousins would have to walk to school in zigzag lines because the snipers in the 80s would be sitting. The Israeli snipers would shoot them, and so they would, walk in zigzag lines to avoid it, and to just know that they're going through this, but. For now, I mean, for me to say that to somebody, it's like, okay, they kind of can visualize it, but they kind of can't. But now we're seeing it all. We're seeing it all in real time. And you talk about emotional toll. I mean, it's just overwhelming. How is your family reacted to what you're doing too? My family here, my family in Gaza? I mean, both. My family in Gaza are cheering me on. They're happy. Especially for them having to deal with these people face to face, seeing this gives them something to smile about and laugh, and also gives them a little, they can't do anything to them physically, but when they see me aggravating them, it gives them some relief. Yeah, you've built a platform of over 200,000, people. Yes. And one can look at your page and see that those are genuine, organic. This is not, being fluffed up or anything. When we talk about maintaining the composure, is there anything that you do specifically to manage your ability to stay composed and be constructive in your responses? I mean, I've watched a lot of your videos, and I know Dalton, and that's the other question. Where did Dalton come from? Okay, so from Kentucky, Wisconsin. Kentucky, Wisconsin. That part is going back to being an actor, aspiring actor. I didn't really. So as an actor, especially someone who can do improv, I don't really choose. It just, whatever comes out, comes out. One day they asked me what my name was. I told him Dalton. He repeated it, questioning it. It gave me a couple seconds to add Jamari the Fourth Jr. Right. And the world ate it up. And going back to your question on how I keep my composure and what I do, I constantly remind myself that I have the world watching me and hearing me. Mm-hmm. So as a Palestinian, I have to represent my people.
And I have to keep, that's honestly the only thing that holds me together.
Yeah.
Is I have eyes on me and I have ears listening to me. I can't say anything I shouldn't be saying and or wouldn't say, and just have to represent my people in the best way possible.
People are people. I'm not going to put a Palestinian on such a pedestal to say, oh, you're never allowed to get angry. You're not allowed to have emotions. You're not allowed to be angry. That people want to eliminate you, actually, because though the mantra in Israel is that, Hamas and Palestinians just want to obliterate them. I've never met a Palestinian who said, I hate all Jews or I want to kill all Jews.
Exactly.
What they want is to be left alone. If I'm your neighbor, right? If I'm your neighbor and we're just chilling, it's good. But the minute I'm like, oh, well, that's nice. Let me take that. Oh, get out on the street. I don't care what happens to you. We're no longer friends. We're no longer neighbors. So there is the modern colonization aspect of this that people do deny. And so it paints Palestinians and like, oh, if they get upset, see, that's why they're bad people. No, bullshit.
Which is exactly why I have to bite my tongue. And people also don't realize that there are parts that I do have to cut out.
Sure.
But besides that, the only parts I do have to cut out, which maybe my face will turn red or I'll actually sometimes have to bite my tongue. So there are parts where I do have to cut out. But other than that, just got to represent my people because like you said, we're painted as the monsters.
Which is so absurd. The most beautiful, beautiful people. I was in Abu Dhabi in November, and I happened to see my ex-mother and father-in-law, who I love. They're Palestinian. Like, his family had to walk out, and for 30 years of my life, I've heard like the prayer of one day being able to go back to Palestine, right? I remember I had wanted manaish. I hadn't had proper manaish. And it was 9:00 at night. And this is my former father-in-law to show you. Like, he's welcoming my new husband, my new child, like, and my mother-in-law, my former sister-in-law. And he's like, I'm going to go get you manaish. I'm like, it's 9:30 at night. He's like, no, you want manaish, Alia? I will go get you manaish. The kindest soul in the world. So it's absurd to me when people do this.
I went, like I said before, I went to Palestine in 2020.
Yes.
There was, my father had arranged for somebody to come pick me and my sister up and, show us around Palestine. The first man happened to be, he wasn't Palestinian. I don't exactly remember what he was. I remember he charged us $200, which is a lot over there.
Yeah.
And he only drove around small spot. Nothing too crazy, dropped us off after an hour. The next day, my father called somebody else, a Palestinian man. He had to cross 2 checkpoints, take a bus to come pick us up. This man, without even knowing us, went inside our hotel, told the man to give us a refund, put us in his home, and took us around all the parts that we were able to go to.
Wow.
Kindest souls that I've ever met.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget those people. I'll
course.
never forget that family. It left something, it left a mark on me.
No, I love that, and I appreciate it because that's just it. I've told all the time online, go to Gaza and see how you be treated, and I'm like, man, miss me with that because I already know I'm gonna get some good food, and I'm gonna get some love, some hugs, some bus yani tali habibti. I already know.
These are people who have nothing though.
Yeah.
That's the most humbling and beautiful part about it. These aren't people who are rich, these are people who have nothing, and they know we come from the United States where we have privileges, but their hearts are so open. Their doors are open. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they don't even have a door. They have a tent, but they're still willing to allow you in, bring you into their home, feed you.
Yeah.
So like you said, you're going to be taken care of if you do go.
Of course, of course. I understand how your family in Gaza feels about this. How do your parents feel about it, just to be quite honest? Do they worry about you?
My mother worries a lot. Mom worries a lot. Mom worries a lot. She's definitely proud. Dad is happy. They're proud of me. They're definitely proud of me. They keep every day, dir balak ala halak, which means be careful in Arabic,
Right.
Now
you go on and sometimes you can't even play your Dalton. They know you. They recognize you.
I know you. I know you from TikTok. I did.
No, that's another guy. My name is Miguel Anderson, man. That guy's name is like Dalton Jamari or something.
Tell me how that's been because, being recognized on the platform is one thing, then that can also transfer off,
Yes.
which you have been threatened and people have threatened
Yes.
you. So tell me how the public recognition part has affected your life.
So on the app, it is definitely very hard now. 99% of them know who I am, soldiers or not, and they've gotten to know my lines. So they pretty much do it for me, but it is hard. I've got some disguises, got the afro. I'm actually ordered a Mario suit. We're going to try that next. It's definitely hard, but it makes it fun.
Yeah.
It makes it fun, I actually have to look for them now. In public, it's definitely, as far as the Zionists, I don't worry too much, but they are there. I've gotten threats in person, face to face, as you've seen the comments, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But the beautiful part about it is when I get to travel and go to different states and see all the Palestinians, all the Arabs, all the pro-Palestinians who know me. That just shows, if anything, it's a humbling feeling. It shows me how powerful my words could be. And it's just a very humbling feeling, having ears all around the world.
Yeah.
So it's good and bad.
I had an experience, I'll tell you, when I was leaving Cannes Film Festival, funny enough. So whenever I travel, I have a hoodie that I wear, and it says Palestinian, and it's got, unbreakable, and I'm not afraid to represent, ever. Like, got my bracelet on, I've got my, it just, I whether my purse is a watermelon, you see somebody once said, you're going to turn into a watermelon, Alia. I was like, yeah, okay. But I was getting on the plane, and this United attendant came up to me. She says, I see your sweater. And I'm like, okay, and she goes, you're the first person I've seen wear it. And this is just a couple weeks ago, by the way. She's like, if you wore that in France, you'd be in jail. I couldn't tell if she was trying to be nice or funny. I was like, oh, well, that's so sad. And she just says, but I'm glad to see you wearing it. And she walked away. And so I was like, well, thank you. God bless, and I walked on my plane. And it was an interesting interaction because, yes, as we go around in the world, there's whether they recognize us or whether they recognize that we're standing up for something. So there's both positive and negatives to that. Do you worry this will impact your travel to any place where, where they might be a little bit more, well, I mean, I feel like all governments right now, many of them, most of them, unfortunately, are being extremely suppressive and oppressive to people who are simply standing up for humanity.
If I can't even travel to my own homeland, why would I worry if you don't let me in here, let me in there? As far as extra questioning, as Palestinians, as Muslims, we're already used to that. So to answer your question, no.
Yeah. With regards to being Palestinian American, again, I know you said you've never really struggled with your identity, but definitely, for a moment, take a moment to hit on the dual identity of being Palestinian and American.
A lot of people don't even know where Palestine is to begin with. So that's what makes it, when you try to explain to someone, I'm from Palestine, wait, but you're from America. Wait, where is Palestine? Isn't that Jerusalem? Isn't that Israel? But as a Palestinian American, I do take pride in it, but before an American, I am a Palestinian.
That's the problem. People forget. America is not an identity. It's not like when really nowhere is, to be honest. Like even with my own kids, like they're tied to America. They are American. They were born and raised here. However, that doesn't change the cultural identities are, because I get that question a lot. I mean, you have a certain look, right? I know my look. People are like, where are you from? I'm like, I heard somebody was like, what's your nationality? And I'm like, American. Like, you want to know my passport? There, it's American. What? And they're like, oh, And I'm like, okay, I know what you're trying to get to, but let's see if you ask it the right way. But so nationality wise, you can be wherever your passport is, but culturally what you identify with and who you are. Because
at the end of the day, you don't identify as your passport. You identify as your heritage, where you come from, what you eat, what you do, how you live. And so definitely, yes.
Advocacy and activism, I definitely want people to understand that for you, getting on these social platforms and having these interactions, whether people will think, oh, he's being a smartass, or oh, he's tricking them, you're actually advocating for Palestinian rights.
Yes. A lot of people do expect me to debate with these people. But as we spoke before, there's no debating genocide.
It's definitely shown people, right? Like and I know people don't like it when we talk about the Nazis, right? I know that they don't, it is different because, and I say this for my audience, like Germany was an alliance of people that formed Germany legally, righteously in whatever way, like a group of, tribes said, okay, we're going to band together and create Germany. This is not what happened in Palestine. The Zionist colonial project itself decided, hey, there's a piece of land, we're going to take it all for ourselves. And in the process, these Arabs, these Palestinians, these subhuman people are no longer worthy. And that's why, as they enact a genocide, as you say right now, it's so critical that we have what you're doing right now, which is an eye into their mentality. Because, like, if we watch Star Wars, we can tell who's the Empire. We can tell who's the resistance. It's the people running. It's the people hiding. It's the people running for cover. It's not the people coming in the tents with the full armor and the bad attitude and this negative, hateful spirit, which we observe people doing. So, how do you keep your humanity in this process?
I think that goes back to my family and the natives of Palestine. Seeing them smiling still, seeing them strong. That's what keeps me strong, keeps my humanity, to answer your question. Because over there is no humanity, but they still have it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So for me, we have no excuse, not just me. We have no excuse to keep our humanity and whatnot. And what a lot of people don't realize, I want to touch back on this, is the IDF, I want to say over 60, I might be wrong, but over 60% aren't even from Israel. That's one thing I've noticed going on this app. I've seen people from South Africa. I've seen a lot of people from Florida, Germany. I've seen people from everywhere. But when you see these people in the flip-flops and the capris, they're all from Palestine.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I think people forget that regimes like what the Israeli forces have available, there's what they do to their community, right? Like if I'm an Israeli citizen, I grew up, I graduate high school, I've got to immediately go into the military, serve. That's one way that I see that they indoctrinate people and make them complicit. But more importantly, anybody who has an axe to grind, right? Like there's people who get go over to Israel simply because they want to be part of this. They want to be, because they're not good souls. They think that they are, but they're not.
That's another thing a lot of people say in the comments. These people are forced. These people are forced. They're brainwashed. But I'm sure you've heard the stories. There's a few. I'm sure there's more than just a few the Western media doesn't want to show you, but they're being imprisoned for not joining the IDF.
Correct.
So it's not brainwashed. It's not forced.
Right. The resistors, they definitely, and they get in that, and that again is, even though people get upset about it, we do have Nazi Germany and the Third Reich as and the SS and the Gestapo, because what did they do? They didn't just criminalize the Jews, they criminalized Germans who stood up for the Jews, right? Like, so if I stood up and I was a protector, then I was likely to be shot by the Gestapo, which is exactly now. Well, that's why now the whole you're a self-hating Jew if you stand up for these people. It's just propaganda. It's just bullshit. And it's very frustrating when people can't see through that. But no,
that's Western media for you.
That is definitely Western media for you, for sure. And that's why we're very passionate about changing that. Yes. And I know we've spoken about that. So
we're the new media.
We are.
That's a beautiful part about these platforms. We became the new media. We became the new news outlets. We became the new faces of Hollywood.
Right.
These faces of Hollywood are run by Zionists. So for us to be able to be the entertainment, but also the voice for the voiceless, is such a beautiful and empowering experience.
Absolutely. While we are still, we just had the incidents at Rafah, last weekend. I know on Monday I was down protesting in City Hall in LA. I couldn't be anywhere else but with people to do something, right? But still, I feel like it's not enough. Even with everything I'm trying to do, I still feel like it's not enough. So what is your message? What is your call to action to the world in this moment?
Everybody needs to stand up, of course. Everybody needs to speak up. Speaking on Rafah, I'm so shocked that people are shocked.
Right.
If you are shocked, you're not awake.
Well, you haven't been paying attention to the last 8 months.
Exactly. And there's still people who don't know what's going on. And that's what shocks me. Everybody needs to come together. People need to educate themselves. Stop listening to CNN. Stop watching Fox News and go to the actual source. That's what everybody needs to start doing, because it's on us.
Right.
They could only do so much over there.
Right.
They could physically fight. We need to be their voice. They can't speak up. They're silenced. We are the voice. They are the resistance.
Right. Oh, man. I want to thank you so much for being here today with me, making the trip out here to the studio.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I know what you're doing means so much to people. And like you said, it does bring a bit of amusement. And sometimes it's hard, but we have to have it. We have to see it. We have to do it. So I thank you for all that you're doing. For our audio listeners, tell us your IG handle or your social media handle so that they can follow you.
It is B Fendi on Instagram and TikTok. BFENDYY. That's not the clothing brand. That's Effendi. Belal Effendi.
I love that.
B Fendi.
All right. Well, I so appreciate you. We'll have to have you back. Hopefully we'll have
Thank
good
you so
news
much.
and things we can celebrate later. For now, I know we're in this together.
Thank you so much. Yes,
Thank
we
you.
are. Looking
Thank you.
forward to it. Free Palestine.
Yes, free Palestine. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to hear Belal's story. And I hope that you'll check out what he's doing online. Support him, follow, comment, all these things. Share it because it is critical that we do everything that we can right now. My closing thoughts are just to understand this. This is not complicated, ladies and gentlemen. It's really not. If you care about people in your own life, then you should find it easy to understand why we care about the lives of all of these individuals suffering immense cruelty. It's not even hardship. Hardship is like playing footsie with it. It is an unimaginable, cruel experience for Palestinians. And by the way, I need to reiterate this, not just in Gaza. Gaza is definitely at the forefront right now, but what's happening in West Bank, what's happening in Hebron, what's happening in Ramallah, where I have family still, what's happening in Lebanon, in southern Lebanon, where I have family there as well. Like this is something, this is when I say that word conflict, I don't like it. It is an entire crisis. It is a crisis that needs to be intervened. And I remember yesterday hearing one of our senators said, well, we dropped bombs in Iraq too. You know what? No shit, Sherlock. We did. And it wasn't right then, and it's not right now. And I most of all thank you for letting us be unsugar-coated. We will see you next time. Take care.